The text from my realtor exploded across my screen like a flare in a dark sea. Everything's ready for closing tomorrow. Just need your down payment confirmation. I let my fingertips drift over the slab of cold marble in my aunt's museum-perfect kitchen and, for one reckless second, allowed myself to see it. Me on the wraparound porch of a sun-warmed craftsman, keys in my palm, the kind of quiet that sounds like a future. My name is Sarah Rowan, and I was about to learn that family and money make a cocktail that burns on the way down. More wine, sweetheart? Aunt Helena cross-cooed, crystal decanter tilting, diamonds rebelling in the chandelier light. She'd anointed herself matriarch the day my mother died. Ever since, she'd moved through our lives like a queen through silk curtains. No thanks, I said. I should keep a clear head for tomorrow's closing. Her precisely threaded brows lifted. Closing? I'm buying a house, I blurted, joy-breaking rank. The craftsman I showed you, the porch, the old-growth beams. She set the decanter down with a hostile clink. Darling, before you do anything, we need to talk. Cold crept up my spine. About what? There's been a family emergency. She tapped her iPad with manicured efficiency. Your cousin Clara's medical bills have bled the family fund white. We need everyone to contribute. What family fund? The one your mother, Elise, established before she passed. She slid the tablet toward me. Surely you remember signing the papers last Christmas. Joint account, shared responsibility, blah blah. The banking app glared back at me with a number I couldn't make sense of. $246.02. My savings. My years. My house. What? I whispered. Did you do? What was necessary, Helena said, wearing sympathy the way some women wear fur. Clara needed emergency surgery. The family comes first, Sarah. Your mother would have. Don't. My chair crashed to the floor. Don't use my mother to excuse your theft. Sit down. The silk dropped from her voice. Iron remained. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. I laughed raw and bright. You stole my down payment. I did no such thing. You authorized the transfer when you signed the joint agreement. What agreement? And then I saw it. The memory snapped sharp. A stack of forms during dessert, Helena murmuring something about updated beneficiaries, while the lemon tart cooled on the counter. I'd signed between toasts. Between grief. You tricked me. I protected you, she corrected, mouth like a blade. You're not ready for homeownership. The family needed those funds more than you needed some porch. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling the police. Her smile sharpened. By all means. I have your signature on every document. It's perfectly legal. Legal, I said. Doesn't make it right. Right, she echoed, eyes glittering. Right is protecting a legacy. Right is honoring your mother's wish to put family first. You're still so young, so naive. I leaned across her cathedral of a table until we were breath to breath. Mom would be disgusted. Color deserted her cheeks. Get out of my house. With pleasure. I grabbed my purse. And Helena? I met her gaze, let her see the break in the steel. This isn't over. The door slam was a hymn. In my car, the tears finally fell, hot, furious, clarifying. My phone buzzed again. Need that confirmation by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Everything okay? I typed through the shake. Family emergency. Have to postpone. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I scrolled to a name I tucked away with old trophies in high school summers. Damon Hale. The boy who used to fix bicycles and now untangled financial crimes for breakfast. He picked up on the third ring. Sarah? It's been forever, I said. I need help. His voice settled, steady as a level. Tell me everything. Do you remember all the weird things we noticed about Aunt Helena after Mom died? I think I just found the tip of the iceberg. And I'm not stopping at the tip. I'm listening, he said, already moving. I could hear keys, the distant click of a laptop. Start at the beginning. I'm going to end it, I corrected softly, staring into the dark windshield until my face looked like someone else's, someone dangerous. Her world. I'm going to end her world. The attic of my mother's old house smelled like dust and the paper skin of old secrets. Boxes leaned against each other like tired men. Every one of them promised answers in splinters. I'd been at it for hours when my phone buzzed on speaker beside a ruin of photo albums. Any luck? Damon's voice crackled, all low voltage and patience. Nothing conclusive, I muttered, dragging another box into the meager light. But Helena's story about Clara's surgery isn't right. How not right? I just called Clara, he said. No surgery. Not even a dental cleaning this year. A nail of satisfaction drove home. Of course. And something else, Damon added. Your mom's will, whatever copy Helena paraded after the funeral, doesn't line up with anything Elise told her financial planner. Your mother talked about individual inheritances, not one big trust with Helena sitting on top like a dragon. A floorboard popped behind me. I spun. Nina, my cousin, stood at the top of the attic stairs, eyes wide, hair in a mercy of a braid. She looked like our childhood and a warning siren. I'll call you back, I whispered to Damon, jabbing end. Nina, what are you doing up here? I could ask you the same, she said, moving closer, making no move to smile. This is still Aunt Elise's house. I set down a dusty folder and straightened. Helena sent you to check on me. She's worried you'll do something rash, Nina said carefully. She's worried I'll find something. I slid a stack of bank statements from the folder. Like these. Transfers to offshore accounts. Starting the day after Mom died. Nina's fingers went to her necklace. A nervous tick as old as her baby teeth. Sarah, be careful. Helena has reach. Is that a threat? A warning. She glanced over her shoulder, as though even the insulation had ears. She's got Baxter, the family lawyer, in her pocket. And Evelyn, your mom's old business partner, makes the messes disappear. Helena's been playing puppeteer for years. So why are you here? Because she finally overplayed, Nina said, voice shrinking. Last year I questioned discrepancies in my trust distributions. Suddenly my job offers evaporated. My rental fell through. Like my life became uninsurable. Helena did that to you, I said, no question mark in sight. Nina nodded once. But she made a mistake with you. She took too much and she took it fast. She left a trail. Then helped me follow it. She bit her lip, checked the stairs again, then reached into her bag and produced a small key worn smooth by time. This opens Aunt Elise's old filing cabinet at the lake house. Helena doesn't know I have it. I took the key, and a scrap of paper sighed free from the bank statements, drifting to the floor like a moth. My heart misfired. My mother's handwriting. Round certain alive. My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Don't trust the official will. The real one is with Victor at Coastal Credit Union. Helena must never know. Love, Mom. My hand shook so hard the attic blurred. Did you know about this? Nina's eyes glistened. No. But I'm not surprised. Helena's been rewriting family history since I learned cursive. The attic door slammed below, hard, deliberate. Footsteps, heavy and expensive, took the stairs like they owned them. Quick, Nina hissed, stuffing the statements into her bag. Act natural. Baxter appeared, silver hair immaculate, suit too rich for dust. He smiled the way crocodiles smile. Ladies, Helena asked me to check on you. Just sorting through memories, Nina said smoothly. The lie fit her like a glove. Right, I added, letting my face go blank. Nothing up here but moths. Baxter's gaze swept the rafters, then us, then the floor. Helena mentioned you were upset about the family fund. Perhaps we should talk in my office. No need. I stood, every nerve singing. I understand perfectly now. He tipped his head, the picture of benevolence. Exactly. Family comes first. As always, I said, and Nina squeezed my hand. 3 quick pulses, our childhood code for meet me later. Message received. We let him escort us downstairs like obedient chess pieces. Outside, I didn't breathe until I rounded the block and a familiar sedan flashed its blinker. Damon. I slid into the passenger seat, dumped the photos onto his lap, and watched the transformation. Curiosity to focus to outrage, rewire his face. This is bigger than a stolen down payment, he said finally. This is engineered. Structured. Professional. Can you trace it? He met my eyes, and for the first time that day I felt gravity tilt in my favor. I can trace the sun if it leaves a shadow. Do it, I said. Because we're not playing nice anymore. He nodded toward the note in my hand, its ink still burning my fingers. First stop. I looked at my mother's handwriting one more time and felt something click into place. Like a lock turning, like a plan waking up. Coastal Credit Union, I said. And then Helena's house. Her safe. Her secrets. Outside, the streetlights hummed. Inside, Damon put the car in gear. I watched my mother's home fall away in the rear view, the attic window a square of dark against darker. Helena thought family first meant Helena first. She was about to learn a new definition. Coastal Credit Union still smelled like carpet cleaner and anxiety when Victor Lane, the branch manager with a conscience and a wedding ring groove, lowered his voice. The safety deposit box tied to Elise Rowan was accessed 3 days after her death, he said, eyes flicking to the glass door as if guilt might walk in. 2 sign-ins. Helena Cross and Evelyn Hart. Of course it was Evelyn, my mother's former business partner, patron saint of disappearing messes. Do you remember anything else? I asked. Victor grimaced. They argued. Loudly. Miss Hart was not pleased. That's all I can say without a subpoena. It's enough, Damon murmured, already photographing the sign-in ledger with Victor's reluctant nod. Back in the car he was all cadence and code. Every major withdrawal from your account was shadowed by a corresponding deposit into an offshore bucket tied to Evelyn Hart Ventures Limited. Within hours. And here's a side plot. Helena's ex, Adrian Locke, didn't vanish for a secretary. He threatened to expose her. A week later his company was audited into oblivion. Marionette theater, I said. Helena above, all of us on strings. We set up shop at a cafe for the bandwidth. Nina slid into the booth, face pale. Helena knows you went to the credit union, she whispered. She's calling it concern for your mental health. Let her, I said, pushing a latte toward my cousin. Victor confirmed the box. And Damon traced the money. The costume jewelry is starting to shed rhinestones. The bell over the door chimed. Evelyn Hart, cream blazer and conscience-colored handbag, froze when she saw us. Guilt yanked across her face like a curtain. Then she pivoted and fled. Go, Damon said, already rising. I caught her in the parking lot. The box. The withdrawals. Talk. Evelyn's eyes darted. You don't understand what you're kicking, she hissed. Not here. Old boathouse by the lake. 3 o'clock. Come alone. She slammed into her car and peeled out. My phone buzzed before the exhaust could settle. Baxter. We need to discuss recent developments. My office. 2 p.m. The timing was pure Helena. A snare disguised as concern. He's trying to get ahead of us, Nina said, reading over my shoulder. Good, I said. Let's give him something to trip over. Baxter's office was a wood-paneled shrine to plausible deniability. I slid copies of transfers across his desk like playing cards that cut. He turned the color of copier paper. This is, he swallowed, very serious. You've been laundering her excuses, I said. How deep are you? He tugged at his tie like it was a noose. Your aunt is persuasive. She has information that could end my career. Add blackmail to the list, I said. Help me or you sink with her. He stared at the page where Evelyn's offshore account winked back like a guilty eye. After a tight eternity, he exhaled. There's a USB in Helena's personal safe. Records of everything. I don't have access. Who does? Helena, he said. And people she lets water her plants. Nina. Nina's eyebrows climbed. I can get us in. Today. Baxter checked his watch. Helena has a charity board meeting at 4. The safe's behind the oil landscape in her study. Combination. He scribbled it on a legal pad. Then tore the corner off with trembling fingers. But don't trust Evelyn. She's not what she seems. What is she? I asked. He shuffled papers like they might answer. Cornered. Outside, Damon lifted the corner scrap and grinned without humor. Ready for light felony in the service of justice? Let's commit righteous B&E, I said. Helena's house inhaled us with silent alarm pads and self-importance. The code Nina whispered went green. We slipped through rooms staged within an inch of their souls, and into the study where a pretentious river painting disguised a wall safe. Go, Damon said, keeping watch from the door. 3 minutes. My fingers shook but not enough to miss the numbers. Click. The safe yawned open. Inside. a labeled USB, fat folders, and a small red diary with ER pressed into the leather. My mother, I breathed. Car tires scratched the gravel outside. Nina peeked through the curtain. It's Evelyn's Mercedes. I swept everything into my bag. Fire escape. Now. We ghosted down the metal stairs as the front door opened and Evelyn strode in, phone to her ear. Yes, Helena. I'm here. No, the safe looks. Wait. What do you mean, Baxter? Her voice leapt an octave. He called. Time to go, Damon hissed, tugging me toward the corner. We didn't breathe until his sedan was 2 streets away. What's on the drive? Nina asked. My bet. Damon said, eyes already feral. Skeletons. The kind that file taxes. Back at Damon's apartment, the USB turned his screen into a crime scene. Emails. Contracts. Wire maps like spiderwebs. A spreadsheet that looked like a confession and read like a blueprint. These aren't mistakes, he said, scrolling. They're architecture. I opened the diary. My mother's voice spilled out of the paper like a room I'd almost forgotten. Confronted Helena about missing funds. She threatened me. Family meeting in 3 days. Bring evidence. If anything happens, the next line was a slash of ink and a date that sat like a countdown. A bang rattled the door. Police. Open up. Damon's eyes shot to mine. He popped the drive, tossed it to me. Back door. Go. Through the frosted glass, I saw Baxter hovering behind 2 officers, face composed into concern. We ran. 3 blocks later, breath burning, my phone buzzed. Damon, safe. Baxter filed a complaint about stolen documents. Cops leaving. Meet in an hour. Another message, scheduled to detonate pure adrenaline. Helena just called an emergency family meeting for tomorrow. Good, Nina said grimly. The audience is assembling. I fired off a text to Evelyn. I have the USB. I know everything. Old boathouse in 30. Come alone or the files go public. The dots blinked, then coming. Don't do anything stupid. Define stupid, I muttered. The lake was a sheet of pewter under a bruised sky. Nina tucked herself upstairs in the boathouse, a lookout with a perfect view. I waited on the deck, the USB burning a hole in my pocket. Evelyn arrived exactly on time, hands raised. Helena doesn't know I'm here. Start talking. She sat, and for the first time since I'd known her, looked human. Your mother was my friend, she said softly. When she discovered what Helena was doing, I helped her gather proof. Helena found out. The night before your mother died, Helena told me that if I didn't help bury it, she'd ruin my daughter. I believed her. Why tell me now? Evelyn slid a folded sheet across the table. Because of this. My mother's handwriting dated the day before she died. If anything happens to me, the proof is in the summer cabin basement, behind the old wine rack. Keep Sarah safe. She's the only one strong enough to finish this. The cabin's been locked for years, I said. Evelyn pulled a key from her purse. Not anymore. Nina's voice crackled down from above. Cars. Multiple. Evelyn blanched. Helena must have followed me. I closed my fist around the key. Is what's in that cabin enough to burn her down? Everything, Evelyn whispered. The original will. Proof of the theft. All of it. Then we go now. As we ran for the car, my phone buzzed. Damon. Got away from the cops. Family meeting is on. Move fast. Then let's end this, I said, throwing the car into gear. The summer cabin smelled like damp wood and unslept nights. Evelyn's flashlight sliced the dark. Third rack from the left, she said. My fingers found the seam behind the wine rack. The whole unit swung like a door, and there it was. A metal lockbox waiting like a prophecy. The key turned. Inside. A thick manila envelope and a USB labeled evidence. Footsteps creaked above us. Damon. I called. It's us, he answered, relief, walking down the stairs with Nina. Helena's spinning a new story to the family. We don't have long. Perfect, I said, sliding out the envelope. I opened it, and the hair on my arms lifted. The documents were too new. Too pristine. The USB label looked freshly printed. Evelyn's flashlight beam steadied. I'm sorry, she whispered. The basement door slammed. A key turned. Did you really think it would be that easy? Helena's voice carried silk and ash through the wood. That Elise would leave evidence lying around for years? You set us up, Nina breathed. Signal jammers are on, Evelyn said, breaking at the edges. I had no choice. She has my daughter. Helena's tone smiled without lips. Here's the plan, Sarah. The police arrived to find you trespassing with stolen documents. A tragic spiral into paranoia. Much like your poor mother. Spare me, I called back, mind sprinting. This isn't about money anymore. This is about what you did to her. Silence. And then, be careful, niece. Accidents do run in your family. Even Damon flinched. Did you just confess? He shouted. Don't be vulgar, Helena purred. I ripped the flashlight from Evelyn's hand and aimed it at the basement window. Bars. Old. Rusted. Damon, I whispered. Think you can shoulder check 1998? On 3, he said, bracing. Make some noise. I raised my voice so it could claw up through the floorboards. Hey, Helena. Remember Mom's diary from your safe? Photos of every page just went to the entire family thread. Especially the entries about your threats. You're bluffing. Check your phone. Footsteps pounded away. Damon hit the frame once, twice. On the third blow the rot surrendered and the window yanked free with a scream of old nails. Evelyn grabbed my wrist. I'll stall her. Save your mother's name. We heaved ourselves into the night. Lungs filling with wet pine and adrenaline. Sirens began to knit the distance into blue. Where? Nina panted as we tore through the trees. First National, I said. Helena's private vault won't be private for long. The night manager at First National, Graham Poe, a man who kept his tie straight and his secret straighter, stared between Damon and me like we'd brought a storm inside. Graham, Damon said mildly. Remember your brother's little fraud situation I untangled? Time to return the favor. Graham's jaw worked. I slid Elise's diary across the desk, open to an entry dated March 15th, 3 days before the crash. His face drained as he read. This is money laundering, he whispered. And worse. My mother died right after writing that, I said. Help us. He stood so fast his chair barked against the floor. Follow me. The vault corridor breathed cold air over our skin. Graham's keycard blinked 3 times and the door unsealed with a submarine's sigh. Box 247, he said. You have 15 minutes before the system resets. Inside we found stacks of documents, USB drives nested like eggs, and a sealed envelope stamped. Original will, Elise Rowan. Got it, I exhaled, hands shaking. Damon photographed like a machine. Offshore accounts. Straw corporations. It's all. My phone pulsed. Nina, Helena's on her way with security. The vault door began its slow, indifferent swing. No, Damon snarled, jamming his foot into the gap. The steel kept moving. Override it. I shouted. Graham's voice crackled over the intercom, strangled. I'm sorry. Helena's here, with head of security. She knows. Graham, don't you dare. The door thudded shut, sealing us in with our oxygen and our evidence, darkness closing like a fist. Well, Damon said into the dim, forcing a laugh. This is suboptimal. I lifted my phone to cast a small, defiant halo over Elise's will. We have what we came for, I whispered. We have proof. We have her voice. The intercom hissed. Helena's voice poured into the vault, smooth as poison. Found something interesting, dear niece? You killed her, I said, pulse in my throat. She was going to expose you, so you had her killed. You always did have a vivid imagination, Helena cooed. Since you demand a bedtime story, let me tell you what really happened to your mother. Damon caught my eye and nodded. Keep her talking. Somewhere, somehow, someone would hear. Your mother was weak, Helena went on. She believed in equal shares. An adorable fantasy. I offered partnership. She declined. The break lines, regrettable but necessary. The world tilted. For a second, all I heard was the rush of my own blood. Did you just confess to murder? I said, voice trembling into steel. Over a bank security system that records everything? Silence. Then chaos exploded outside, shouts, the grind of a master override, radios barking. The mechanism coughed to life and the vault door slid open to reveal Nina, Graham, and 2 jackets that said FBI in letters the size of justice. Nina held up her phone, camera still rolling. I called in your favor, she told Damon, eyes blazing. And the bureau was very interested in Helena's little constellation of accounts. On the marble floor beyond them, Helena Cross lay cuffed, lipstick smeared into a snarl. She looked up at me like I'd pulled the sun down from the ceiling. You stupid girl, she spat. You have no idea what you've done. On the contrary, an agent said, voice crisp with paperwork. Thanks to your confession and the evidence Ms. Rowan just recovered, Ms. Cross, you are under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and the murder of Elise Rowan. Helena's face fell apart. Somewhere behind the agents, Dawn started sharpening the edge of the windows. Almost, I thought, clutching my mother's will to my chest. Almost over. The next hours were a blur of fluorescent lights and signatures. The FBI took statements. Graham produced access logs. Baxter arrived gray and shaking, murmuring to a federal agent about cooperation and leniency. By the time Dawn rinsed the sky clean, Helena Cross sat in a holding cell without bail, and I sat in Damon's car with Elise Rowan's original will in my lap like a living thing. Almost over, Damon said softly. Not until everyone hears the truth, I answered. All of it. By noon, the family boardroom felt like a thunderhead about to split. Every chair around the oak table was full, faces I hadn't seen since casseroles and condolences. Clara stared at her water glass as if it might testify. Adrian Locke hovered near the window with a jaw that looked newly unclenched. Nina stood at my side, steady as a plumb line. Baxter lurked in the corner, a man allergic to his own reflection. Thank you for coming, I began, taking the head seat where Helena used to reign. We're here to talk about my mother. About your money. About the lies knotted around both. I placed Elise's diary on the table and read the last entries. The missing funds, the threats, the plan to present evidence at a family meeting she never reached. The air thinned with every sentence. That's not, Helena said. Uncle Lionel started, then faltered when Nina raised a phone and pressed play. Helena's voice poured from the speaker, velvet over poison. She believed in equal shares, the break lines regrettable but necessary. The room recoiled. Clara put a hand over her mouth. Aunt Beatrice whispered a prayer that didn't know where to land. The agent's affidavits sat in a neat stack like thunderbolts. And the money? Adrian asked, voice scraped raw. Damon stepped forward, projection flicking on to fill the wall with wire maps and timestamps. Every major withdrawal from Sarah's account routes through shell companies and offsets into Evelyn Hart Ventures Limited. Then into Helena's lattice of private accounts. Different conduits, same destination. For years. Gasps, curses, the sound of a dynasty realizing it had been pickpocketed in slow motion. I lifted the sealed envelope. This is my mother's original will. She left instructions for the trust to be dissolved and for equal distributions to each of you. Helena buried this and replaced it with a forgery, Baxter. Baxter's Adam's apple climbed and fell. I assisted, he said to the carpet. I've confessed. I'm cooperating with federal authorities and with this family. He produced a folder with trembling hands. I've also prepared the dissolution documents your true executor would have enacted. We can unwind Helena's regime today. What about her share? Aunt Beatrice asked, chin tilting like a challenge. Forfeited as proceeds of crime, Damon said. Then he glanced at me. But her daughter will receive her original inheritance as Mom intended, I added. Punish Helena, not the blood she bent. A murmur rolled the length of the table, surprise, then reluctant respect. The door creaked. Evelyn Hart stepped in with a face 10 years older than yesterday. Beside her stood a young woman with Helena's eyes but none of her armor. This is Elena Cross, Evelyn said. She helped me get out from under Helena last night and brought me to the FBI this morning. She faced the room. Your sister weaponized our fear. She threatened my daughter Iris. She threatened jobs, leases, reputations. I can testify to every ledger she torched to keep control. Clara rose, cheeks wet. Sarah, she said, voice breaking. I swear I didn't know she used my name at the bank to take your money. I'm so sorry. I know, I told her and meant it. She turned us against each other so we'd stop checking the mirrors. For a moment nobody moved. Then Uncle Lionel reached for the pen. Let's sign, he said. One by one they did. With every stroke of ink the room exhaled. When the last page landed, Damon gathered the stack like a midwife and handed it to Baxter. "File these," I said. "Properly this time." Baxter nodded, the barest suggestion of relief loosening his shoulders. "Yes, Ms. Rowan." As people filtered out, some hugging me, some just nodding like survivors, Alina hung back. "My mother," she whispered, eyes shining with a pain I recognized, "is not someone I can defend. But thank you for not making me pay for the hurricane she set loose." "You get to choose your weather now," I said. "We all do." My phone buzzed. A text from Evelyn. Statement given. "Iris is safe. Your mother's story will be told." A week later, the courthouse steps bristled with microphones and curiosity. They let Helena out in cuffs, orange leaching every ounce of privilege from her bones. For a breath, her gaze collided with mine. No crown, no chandelier, no audience she could hypnotize. Just a woman who had bet her soul and lost. "Life sentence," Damon murmured, reading the breaking banner on a reporter's tablet. "No possibility of parole." Nina squeezed my hand. "It's really over." "Almost," I said, and looked past the news vans toward a wraparound porch I hadn't allowed myself to see since everything detonated. The Craftsman House waited with its patient bones and honest beams. When I stepped onto the porch, the boards hummed like a chord struck clean. Inside, rooms echoed with possibility. Sunlight made mosaics of dust and promise. "Still available," my realtor had said that morning, voice almost giddy. "Do you want it?" "Yes," I'd answered. "All of it." By afternoon, the driveway filled like a parade. Clara arrived first with a box of framed photos she'd recovered from a storage unit Helena kept like a mausoleum for better versions of us. Adrian installed deadbolts with the grim joy of a man undoing his mistakes. Nina mapped the kitchen like she was choreographing a dance. Damon ferried in cartons and sarcasm. Then Evelyn appeared on the porch with Iris, both holding terracotta pots. "Basil," Iris said shyly, offering the green. "Mom said your mother grew it in her kitchen. That a home needs something living to grow with it." "Your mother was right," I said, swallowing around the lump in my throat. "Both of them." Baxter came last, oddly lighter, with a thick folder and a small velvet pouch. "The final distributions are complete," he said. "And these are the keys to Elisa's lake house. I can have a broker." "I'm keeping it," I said, taking the keys. "No more secrets there. Picnics. Birthdays. Real meetings." He nodded, eyes damp. "Good." We worked until the house began to recognize us. Toward dusk, Nina called from the dining room. "Sarah, you need to see this." Everyone gathered around the table where Evelyn held a manila envelope. "We found it in a drawer Helena kept locked," she said. "Letters she wrote but never mailed. One for each of us. Including you." My hand shook as I unfolded the one addressed to Sarah. "Sarah, by the time you read this I will have lost everything. You are stronger than Elise, and I hated that because it meant I would lose. I told myself I was protecting a fortune. You protected a family. That's what your mother wanted. I'm sorry I forgot. Helena." Clara exhaled a laugh that was half sob. "That's as close to an apology as that woman ever learned to shape." "It's enough," I said, folding the letter small. "Not because it fixes anything, but because we get to decide what matters next." Damon lifted a glass of grocery store champagne no one had chilled properly. "To new beginnings," he said. "To family," I corrected. Not the brand Helena sold, fear dressed as loyalty, but the kind that shows up with deadbolts and basil and the truth. Glasses clinked. The house listened. Later, when the last car pulled away and the night settled soft over the roofline, I took the basil to the kitchen window. The plant caught moonlight like a secret forgiven. On the porch, the swing creaked under my weight and the air smelled like rain deciding what kind of evening to be. My phone chimed. "Clara. Thank you for bringing us back together. Dinner at my place next week? Wouldn't miss it," I typed. I looked at the keys in my palm house, Lake Future, and felt the precise click of a lock releasing somewhere I'd been stuck for years. Helena had tried to build an empire of secrets. In the end, she built me a map. I walked the slow length of the porch, letting each board say my name. Truth. Trust. A front door that opened from the inside. A family unbeholden to fear. A mother's will honored at last. And a life I could step into without asking permission.